And we're live. We're here, guys. We are here. The Premier League season is back. Can't wait. Absolutely buzzing. We've got a massive game tomorrow. But guys, this is an episode of Through Eagle Eyes. Come on and have your say as well. Crystal Palace supporters, this is your channel, your platform, your forum. Come and share your views. Yeah. So like I said, this is our platform for all Crystal Palace fans out there. Looking forward to obviously a brand new season, which starts tomorrow. And I've been so grateful to be joined by our special guest again today. Good evening, Nath.
Yes, Rich.
How you doing?
Not too bad. Excited for the new season ahead.
Absolutely. Before we actually touch on the season ahead, it's been a lot going on in the last week or so. A lot going on. So
we'll quickly it's gone from no news to all the news.
Literally. Let's start off with Scott Dan. 7 years. 7 years of service. And he's off. He's no longer with us. Absolute massive servant for the club. Absolute goal machine at times as well. You know, came in with a few crucial goals. Yeah, what's your thoughts on Scott Dan and his tenure at Palace?
With Scott Dan, I think it's one of those where you don't realise how good he was until he goes. It's very much like the Joni Mitchell song, Big Yellow Taxi. You don't know what you got till it's gone. Obviously, injuries played a part in him having a somewhat lesser role in the team the last 2-3 years or so. But prior to that, he would have been one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah.
Were he fit to start? Bear in mind, he was club captain, I think, just after Jelinek left at the end of the FA Cup final season. So he became club captain initially under Alan Pardew and then under Sam Allardyce. So Scott Dan is one of those players that came in under very little fanfare. Wasn't really the kind of signing that would wow you or make you think, oh my God, we've signed an amazing centre-back, because he came in from the club that sports the colours that you're wearing, Blackburn Rovers. You know? No, it's true. Come on, everybody is talking about it's a Blackburn kit, this and that. Absolutely. So we got to get that in there before people try and banter us on the new 100%. Third kit. You know, but no, look, Scott Dan is one of those players that people never truly appreciated. But to be fair, when you sign the Mamadou Sakkos and when you sign players like Breda Hangeland and much bigger name players than a Scott Dan, because Scott Dan is not a fashionable centre back.
No.
You know, Scott Dan was not going to command a £20 million fee from a Liverpool or a Chelsea or a Tottenham or an Inter Milan, Fiorentina. If you sign a centre back from one of the big leagues of Europe, that's a more fashionable name to have because they've come from an elite established club in the top bracket of either the Champions League or Europa League, or they're on the verge of those leagues, those competitions in their respective leagues. But with Scott Dan, he was a League Cup winner at Birmingham City. He'd been at Blackburn for a few years. And when he came to Palace, he effectively was the upgrade on Peter Ramage. Despite the fact Peter Ramage, in my opinion, probably should have got more minutes. But Ian Holloway, to be fair to Ian Holloway, was honest with him and said, listen, I don't think you're going to get minutes in the Premier League next season. And it killed some of the fans seeing Peter Ramage, who'd been a massive part of that promotion push the season before Scott Dan arrived. But when Scott Dan started to become a first-team regular, and obviously he got his own chant in Scott Dan is a goal machine.
Yeah, this is it.
Obviously, you know, that was a very fun thing when you knew that Scott Dan was getting his head on the ball. Listen, I think he's one of those players that wasn't amazing, wouldn't really pull up trees in terms of, oh, he was one of our best ever defenders. I don't think he's in the Jim Cannon bracket.
Yeah.
I don't think he's in Paddy McCarthy's bracket. I don't think he's in a lot of defenders that we've had over the years who have done more for the club than he has. But what he has got is the respect of a lot of the fans, because we understand that even though he wasn't the marquee centre-back signing in 13-14, he came in and shored up a defence that looked horrifically exposed. Because Scott Dan scored some crucial goals and made some crucial blocks in the 13-14 season. That if you look back on highlights of those games, and I know they're kind of hard to find now because the more Premier League content is out there, the harder it is to look back over the years. But
yeah,
I think he scored in the 3-2 win away at Everton. And that was the game that got us to the magic so-called 40 mark, where Damo does that.
Yeah.
You know, to the Palace fans away at the away end at Goodison Park. And obviously, you know, you think back to the win away at Hull, the first win under Tony Pulis.
That was huge.
And Scott Dan had a blinder at the back. No, sorry, but you know, players. He was playing for Blackburn at the time. Sorry, that's how far back I tried to remember. But when you look at key moments from that season, from the Hull City game to the Everton game, when Scott Dan arrived in January, it wasn't an amazing signing or a signing that was going to capture the imagination. But what it was sensible signing for decent money, which over time has proven to be a bit of an astute investment because we couldn't spend 15, 20 million on a centre-back at that time.
Yeah, we couldn't.
You know, we could only afford to pay 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, because at the time it was just the original four investors from 2010, being Browett, Parish, Long, and the other guy's name, what's his name? Jeremy Hosking.
And when you look at that, like, even though we couldn't spend much money, bringing in someone like Scott Dan, who was just a leader in his own right, you know, it was massive. And like I said, he's given us 7 solid years. And in those seven solid years, and as you rightly said, although he wasn't like the household name in a sense, he gave everything for the club. You know, absolutely everything. And we can only just thank him for his services, to be honest. You know, he was really, really brilliant for us. But so much news to get through. Watford away in the League Cup.
Yeah, it's happened again.
It's happened again. We're just
Don't get me wrong. I'm not annoyed that we got Watford away because you've got to play somebody. And unfortunately for us, they're in the south bracket of the cup draw. Luckily, it's no longer a case of you're playing Newcastle away on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night and playing hundreds of miles away. And it's the same for Newcastle, but they don't want to come down to Selhurst Park on a Wednesday night playing Carabao Cup football. You know, so the sensible thing was to split it north and south.
Yeah.
Would Watford have been my pick when we had Millwall in the hat, AFC Wimbledon in the hat, closer games that would mean more to us? No, but if they play how they played in the pre-season friendly, then surely we can't see lightning strike twice and get knocked out by some stupid, brain-dead penalty shootout like we did last season. But
our record
getting Watford, look,
really
it's
bad.
not the dream cup tie.
It's not.
But you don't want the dream cup tie early on in the Carabao Cup. You want to be getting the dream cup tie where you avoid Man City in the semi-final and you get a Burton Albion or a Rotherham or a Stevenage or a Hartlepool. You get a dead team that you're expecting to smack silly, book your place in the final, and then lose to City because City just don't lose that trophy. It's super glued to City at the moment.
It really is. We've not had the best of times in this competition over recent years. I think to the point where I don't even think we've scored a goal. Yeah, it's not looking good. So it'll be great to have some sort of cup run. You know, I think it'll be good for the club financially. It'll be good for the squad because our squad's somewhat growing back. We have lost a lot. We are gaining a few though, and I think our young boys can really benefit from this. You know, the boys that are really on the cusp of breaking through, like the Raksakis, who I think will probably play a lot of first team minutes. Banksy, Wars Morrison, Malachi Boateng. I think they would all benefit from a decent cup run.
Yeah, it's a weird one because when you look at the impact that some of the new boys are expected in the Premier League, you know, obviously Brentford are currently playing right now and they're currently 1-0 up as far as I can see. I don't know if the score has improved because the stream I'm on is kind of behind. But what amazes me is a lot of people have kind of been underwhelmed by the big boys doing their business because you look at the likes of Arsenal, they haven't really spent an awful lot. I know they signed Ben White for 50 million from our friends down the south coast, which, to be fair to Brighton, as much as I don't want to admit this, that's incredible business to get 50 million for Ben White.
Amazing business.
You know, but you know, our transfer business, we're clearly not finished because we know that the news this week was quite indicative of how we've all of a sudden got money to burn because Harris and Blitzer, as much as I appreciate what they've helped us get towards with the academy and the stadium, I was thinking in my head, their wallets are allergic to opening, so they definitely haven't put money in the club.
This is it.
Or if they have, it's been a pittance of what we're hoping they'd put in. But I know you want to talk about this in a second, so I'm not going to go any further than that. But I'm not... See, with the Carabao Cup, to bring it back to the Watford quickly, Watford for me would not be an amazing cup tie or an eye-catching cup tie or anything like that. But you know what? As far as all Premier League cup ties go, Watford's one where it could go either way. If we get knocked out, they're going to lord it over us with this dead fake rivalry they're trying to push. If we beat them, I'm going to be like, okay, we beat some pub team from a small town near Luton. What do you want me to say about it? I don't really care. You know, I don't understand this rivalry they're trying to force on us. It's like Charlton, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Do you know what I mean? It's a strange one because I'm thinking, apart from playing you at Wembley twice, where we beat you on both occasions, and okay, you did the double over us, I think a year or two ago before you got relegated. Watford don't enter my hate list the same way Charlton don't. Yeah. That's why when we played Charlton, we drew 2-2. I was thinking, good result, good minutes in the tank, and fair play to Charlton. They actually played fairly well. But then you get Charlton fans, oh, you drew with our B team, and
they go and get themselves beaten by.
No, but you know what I'm saying. You know, people love to throw, oh, you only drew with our B team, and I'm thinking, okay, that's great, but if your A team play like your B team do, you're in trouble.
This is it. Because
we could afford to play the Raksakis and Scotty Banks in the Charlton game, and it was light work for those boys.
Yeah, they were comfortable. Very, very comfortable in that game. But as you said, moving on to John Textor, he's obviously joined the board of directors as an investor. So he's a fourth partner, joining Parish, Harris, and Blitzer. And obviously, rumours have come that it comes with 90 million, which is massive for our club. Hopefully, there's more in it. Obviously, it just raises the question: has that 90 million already started to be used with the signings that we've made, or whether it's a case where that's 90 million apart from what we've spent already on the side of what we've spent already. So it's just good to see that there's actually some investment coming in. You know, I mean, we've done amazing in the market so far, and this is only gonna to hopefully raise our profile. You know, I think we need to remember we are a London side, and we don't want to be seen as like just that club. You know what I mean? I think we can start pushing forward, and by the signs of it and the way that we're moving on and off the pitch, we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, John Textor coming in, I know people are a bit apprehensive about more American money coming in. What do we know about this guy? The rest of it. But unlike Harris and Blitzer, he's actually been quite active on social media about Palace, where he was at the Sheffield United game away last season where we won, where Eze did a madness again against Sheffield United. I mean, he ran the length of the pitch, didn't he?
Length of the pitch.
Or something to that effect. He literally ran from our end of the pitch to theirs and stuck it in the back of the net.
Twice again.
Yeah, but it's one of those where I get people's apprehension because American money in the Premier League has not got a good track record. We look at the Glazers, FSG, Hicks and Gillette. Granted, these are at much bigger clubs than us, but if they're having problems at Manchester United and Liverpool, the two most successful clubs in England, then coming to Crystal Palace isn't really something you want to be going, oh, great, we've got American money, we're going to win the league, this and that. Yeah. You're thinking, wait, they're coming in to invest. Cool. But when they say invest, are we sure that Steve Parish has done enough? And I believe Steve Parish has with John Textor, because clearly if John Textor is financing a lot of the deals we've done and are still looking to do, that tells me that our business is still yet to be concluded, because obviously we missed out on Adam Armstrong. He went to Southampton. I know he wanted us over Southampton, but in fairness, when they lost Danny Ings, that's a more attractive option in relation to minutes. Because we have Mateta, Ayew, and Benteke here at the moment. And I don't know if Mateta's going to last the season because
I'm worried about
I want him to. I really do want him to, because that goal against our friends on the South Coast kind of maybe sold people a dream that wasn't there.
Yeah.
But Roy Hodgson clearly saw something in him alongside Dougie Freedman to bring him to the club, because Freedman can't sign a player the manager doesn't want. As director of football, it just doesn't work like that.
No.
But with Vieira being French, I know people are going to say, oh, but that doesn't mean anything. And it's true, it doesn't. But he will probably give Mateta a little bit of time in the first team to see, is he going to offer something? Because bear in mind, we were still paying Conor Wickham a wage until very recently. And that's a waste of resources that we can't afford to get stung by again. Yeah. I know when we signed him, he was potential because he was quite young. He'd all the time in the world to maybe become a centre forward we could rely on. But injuries ruined him.
Yeah,
lack of form. And don't get me wrong, I will always remember him for that goal against Watford in the Cup semi-final, where he just whipped that header after Suarez put the ball in to send us to the final. But with Textor, it's an interesting one because he clearly has been looking to invest in a form of European club football, whether it's Benfica, as it's been reported, whether it's us. Yeah. He's looking around, which rightly you might think that's not healthy because he should be looking at one club only. But Americans don't think like that. They will look at the best financial outcome from whatever club. Bear in mind, because we're in the Premier League, we are guaranteed no less than 70, 80 million a season, based on our league position alone. Add to that international broadcast revenues and domestic broadcast revenues.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think if he is coming in to invest, that we'll try and push for a marquee signing that we realistically we shouldn't be going for. Like a Odsonne Edouard, like a Kasper Dolberg. I'm not saying we should be expecting these kinds of players to arrive on our doorstep in SC25 by any means. Cool. I know we're a mid-table club. You know that, and I know that. Yeah, but when you've got the money to finance these kind of deals, you need to push the envelope and say, listen, we know we're a mid-table club, but we want to aspire to be higher than a mid-table club. Yeah, you're the player we believe that can help us kick us on.
And that's what it just looks like we're heading in that direction where we're trying to push a project. You know, obviously we saw the little response regarding Textor earlier, regarding Noni and stuff. So it's just like, let's push the boat out and see what we can attract. You know, but we'll highlight that a bit more in a minute regarding transfers in and out. But let me just bring to viewers' attention just a few other bits of news. So Paddy McCarthy is now under 23s manager. Rob Quinn has now taken over the under 18s, and Sean Derry has been promoted to the first team. Brandon Pierrick, who had a few games for us last season, he's now moved to Danish side. I'm going to try and get this pronunciation correct. Velge Bold Club. Apologies if I got that incorrect. And then lastly, before we actually talk more about this season, Patrick Vieira had his press conference earlier on today, and he emphasized the fact that Michael Olise should be back within 2 weeks, which is great news. Very excited player who obviously signed for us from Reading, so looking forward to seeing him. Anderson will be in the squad. Can't wait to see him partner Mark Gay. But Anderson will be in the squad against Chelsea, which is good news too. Unfortunately, the sad news of Luca, I believe he lost his father. So he's going to definitely have some time off. So our condolences to Luca and his family. Zaha, Vera also mentioned that he's been a massive leader on and off the field. I reckon Wolf's going to be skipper. I reckon he's going to have that armband. Obviously with Luca not being about, I reckon the armband will go to Wilf, and it will be great because just seeing obviously him develop into that captain material. Hopefully Wilf can leave the tantrums alone as well. Just continues excellent preseason form. He's been phenomenal. Once again, we'll touch on that in a minute. And the last thing Vieira mentioned was that we're still looking for new additions. Now that's good. That's a good sign. I feel like we are. I reckon we do need a striker, probably a right winger, and maybe another centre midfielder. So that's all the news really regarding Palace over the last week, which has been quite busy. But now we can actually focus on this season. So let's talk about the transfer window so far. We've done some very good business so far. Really, really impressive business. But I really want to focus on Mark Gay. He's come in and he's playing like been playing like for years. So assured at the back, could play with both feet. I was down at the game against Watford and he dragged Kayute over to him and he was like saying, listen, just talking to him, giving instructions, so on and so forth. And it's just like, yes, you go, you know, absolutely phenomenal centre back. Who would you say has been the signing for you so far this season?
Boy, that's a good question. Obviously, I think we need to touch on the renewals before we do the actual players that came in. Giving Benteke a new deal. I know people ridiculed that because prior to the end of last season, Benteke really flattered to deceive. He wasn't really bagging the kind of goals we brought him in to do so. But credit where it's due for Benteke. He was trying desperately, yes, to win a new contract. Let's not kid ourselves. But the thing is, when players are out of contract and they're looking to get a new contract, yes, they up their game big time and get themselves more involved in games. But you could see Benteke's anger and hunger and fire had come back because for so long, I think actually, you know what? I genuinely believe that Frank de Boer, because we signed Benteke under Pardew, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Yeah. So when Frank de Boer came in 17-18, because bear in mind, in 16-17, Benteke was on fire. He couldn't stop scoring.
Couldn't stop banging goals.
You know, and that was when we had that appallingly awful home kit. That's up there with the 13-14 home kit. Listen, I know Steve Harris says you can only do so much with stripes, but mate, what?
Yeah.
He was having people spend £55 to shell out for that. I said, no way in hell. Right?
I'm just glad we upgraded. Our free kits are nice this season.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, we got rid of that stupid Macron thing.
Yeah,
that was where some of those kits go down because Macron don't know how to make proper good kits. The only one they got right was, I want to say either the cup final kit from 15-16 or the kit or the 14-15 net teller kit. They're the only two net Macron kits I was. Well, no, I lied. Sorry. The last kit with Macron, the 17-18 kit, the kit before this one.
Yeah.
Where we had the 5 boroughs on the back written in the stripes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah. But one thing that did interest me about Patrick Vieira appointing Sean Derry into the coaching staff is people are trying to say, oh, it's the ball Mark II. No. This is the total opposite. What Frank de Boer did at Crystal Palace that a lot of people don't realise is he made it about Frank de Boer.
Yeah.
And when you're verbally berating your players who've been at the club a length of time,
mentally, right? Alienating them as well.
Exactly. You're alienating the club captain, who's a local hero in Jason Punchin. You're alienating Damien Delaney, who was with the club in the second tier of English football and has helped the club come to the Premier League. Yeah? Patrick Vieira now has looked at the coaching staff around the club before he came and seen that Sean Derry is a former club captain. Paddy McCarthy is a former club captain. Rob Quinn is a former player. Mark Bright is the director of youth football at the club, and he, of course, is a former player, of course. So we've got a very good core of ex-Palace players who are connected to the club where they know what it is to play for the club. And we're now seeing that in the sense that he's brought Sean Derry into his coaching staff. Paddy's got a promotion to the 23s where Paddy now has a lot more authority. Yeah. Because as under-18s coach, he's just hoping Sean Derry doesn't nick his best players. Whereas now, Paddy can look at David Omalabu, John Kamani Gordon, Jack Wells-Morrison,
Malaka Boateng.
Aiden Steele, and all these other young lads that we have in and around the setup, like Victor Akinwale, for example, right? As under-18s boss, he's just hoping to move them into the 23s and look at the 16s. And it's a natural progression of, here's the crop I have, move them on. Here's the crop I have next, I bring them in, and then I move them on. Now he can go to Sean Derry and Vieira and go, right, Raksaki, we don't worry about him. He's closer to the first team than ever before. Scott Banks, hopefully, will be given a shot. Not in the Premier League straight away. I think that's a bit too soon. But playing Watford, Carabao Cup, no pressure. Because if we lose in the Carabao Cup, Rich, you're not going to hear me come on here going bananas. I'm like, it's the League Cup.
It is a League Cup. Yeah.
The only time I care about it is if we're close to the final. And the last time we did that was in the Championship, where Anthony Gardner scored that ridiculously stupid own goal.
Yeah. I guess, obviously, with the Carling Cup, I don't think anyone's going to be completely nuts about it. But it'll be just nice to get by the first round.
Provided we don't lose to some absolute clown fest, brain dead penalty shootout like last season against Bournemouth. But no, you're right. I mean, look, the FA Cup for me is more important in terms of that's a trophy that we've had 2 bites of the cherry and never managed to get the job done. But
So going back into the who do you think is to be in the signing so far?
Yeah, the one that impressed me purely because of the club we signed it from is Joachim Andersen, because signing players from, I think, did Lille win the French league or was it Lyon? I think it was Lille last season because PSG didn't win it.
No, Lille won it.
Yeah, Lille won it. So, but to sign someone from Lyon, where Lyon are a bracket of a Champions League, Europa League kind of football club, they kind of bounce between the two every year so often. But to bring him in, and he's played in the Premier League, which is quite clearly a great thing because it's all well and good where you get away with signing a Pape Soare from Lille and he comes into the Premier League and fits it naturally.
Yeah.
But you can also sign a player from France and they have no chance in surviving.
Never stinker, yeah.
You know, like we signed Jose Campagna and Victor Camarasa from Spain. As much as these two, I know Camarasa played for Cardiff in the Premier League the year before we had him, but when we signed Campagna, if you cast your mind back to 2013-14, there was all this hype around him because at Sevilla, he was supposed to be the next big thing coming out of Sevilla. He came to us, had some very impressive performances, but he never suited Ian Holloway's football, despite the fact he was a Holloway signing. So Joachim Andersen, to answer your question, would be my personal signing of interest. But I am happy that we've signed Mark Gay for £18 million. I think that's an incredibly astute move. But it's a good deal for Chelsea as well because they have, of course, got that matching clause. So it's not like Chelsea have been mugged and we can laugh at them. No, they've done smart business in letting an academy player go for good money. Yeah. He's got the potential to come back for a fee that they can match. Yeah. Conor Gallagher, I would have preferred him to Michy Batshuayi last season, being truthful. And this is not going off of Batshuayi's form last season, just in general. I was thinking, we've done Batshuayi before.
We have, yeah.
And we chose not to sign him on a permanent when he was here the first time. So that kind of tells me...
It says a lot.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it says a lot.
You know, because Batshuayi was more offside than onside last season. I'm thinking, do you even know the onside rule, mate? Bro, like, who was that guy that was always offside? Wilbraham.
You want to take even further back? Pipo Inzaghi.
Yeah, exactly. Shefki Kuchi, for Christ's sake. The man was born offside. But Conor Gallagher, you know, the way he played in the Watford pre-season friendly, where, okay, some of the challenges he was kind of lucky not to see a red card because, you know, here's the funny thing about the pre-season, right? Kouyate's red card against Reading.
Which was never
okay. I get why it was shown because it looks bad when you first see him just slide through aimlessly.
Yeah.
But compare that to Conor Gallagher's challenges and how on earth Gallagher was not sent off, I don't know. But
as a player, he just brings the tenacity, the quality.
It's Loftus-Cheek all over again. This is exactly like Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah. You know what? If we can get him back too, I would not complain.
No, I'd love that, but the Loftus-Cheek that we had is not the Loftus-Cheek that's there now. Because bear in mind, at Fulham, he went to Fulham pretty much to rehab that horrible injury he suffered after he went back to Chelsea because he got into the World Cup squad from his loan spell with us.
Yeah.
You know, it just so happened that he was still a Chelsea player. But look, I'd love Loftus-Cheek back. But for me, Joachim Anderson, Mark Gay, Conor Gallagher, very good business. Excuse me. Michael Elise, I don't know too much about because I don't watch Championship football. Since we've been out of the Championship, I've had no interest in watching Championship football. Not to be a Premier League snob, but the incentive to watch Nottingham Forest and Millwall isn't really there. Now, if it turns out to be the game of the season, I'll say, okay, fair enough, I missed the cracker. Yeah. But more when I've watched Championship football few and far between, it's been dreadful.
Well, he won Young Player of the Season, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and that's encouraging. Hopefully, he comes on the same trajectory as Ebbs.
Oh my gosh, Ebbs!
You know, because oh god, it's 2-0 Brentford.
There you go. We've got them next week. Is it?
Aye, AFTV tonight's going to be lit.
100%. Who got the goal? Is it Pinnock?
I think so, yeah. But no, so Michael Elise, obviously, you know, £8 million, which in this market is a pittance. But this is the great thing about this market now is that Parrish, in his interview, said this is a depressed market. So therefore, normally we pay double that for Michael Elise because Reading will know if a Premier League club comes in for one of your players, you can overcharge them because you want to maximise your profit from that player, irregardless of whether or not he is a £16 million player or not. Whereas now, because he's got that release clause, we were saying, okay, we think he definitely fits how we want to play. Yeah. We're prepared to give you £8 million without any form of, he has to score this many goals. No, £8 million on the table. There you go. Take it or leave it. They took it. We took him. And you're thinking, as much as Parrish gets hate from the fans, which, yeah, in a way it's merited because there's elements of the club that we still don't know too much about, but that's a good thing because if we knew everything that was going on, nothing would be a surprise.
Yeah,
and one thing that's caught my eye, Rich, I don't know if you agree with me here, is when we're close to signing a player, there's noise everywhere on social media. Then it gets dead quiet. You don't hear a thing. And then days later it's announced and all of a sudden you're like, okay.
And this is
whereas beforehand,
this is why I'm optimistic about the Edwards one. It's gone quiet.
Yeah. Whereas beforehand, let's say we're linked with 655 players in Serie A. Right? We're to sign this guy from Sassuolo, this guy from Atalanta, this guy from Cagliari. You name the Italian club, we're signing a player from that club, right? Now, we're looking at clubs that are going under the radar. If we signed, let's say, a 19-year-old from Luton Town, just as a hypothetical question, right? And everybody's saying, why are we signing players from Luton Town? Luton Town are in the Championship. That 19-year-old slowly gets bedded in and slowly starts to show what he can do. And he's a level above the Brandon Pierricks, a level above the players we've had in the academy that people wax lyrical about over the last couple of years, like Saleh Kaikai, for example. There was all this noise about Kaikai. And then out of nowhere, it kind of stopped.
Who was it? Keshi Anderson as well?
Keshi Anderson, yeah. Freddie Ladapa, who's at Rotherham, I think it is, or Plymouth, or one of those teams.
Yeah.
But look, to me, like our transfer business so far is impressive, but it's not over, and that's the exciting thing. Because yes, we've needed to bring in some players to cover the players we left. We let a lot of players go last season, but people misconstrued that releasing players as Palace are going down. That they're crazy to let so many key players go. Half of these players weren't playing much last season. Anyway. The only players that played more than roughly 15 games last season was Townsend and Cahill.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that Ward, Klein, and Benteke have already re-signed, and they were key players to keep anyway, because Ward is due a testimonial, so it was a pivotal to keep the fans on side that he gets his testimonial, because he's been with us from day one of the journey to the Premier League.
And he's been brilliant.
Natty Klein coming back, I think it's more sentiment than anything else, but it's also sensible to have an experienced top-level right-back.
Need the experience.
You know, and Benteke, as club record signing, to let him go out on a free, having spent a club record fee on him, yeah, it wouldn't really look good if you're letting your club record signing walk out the door on a Bosman when
100%.
Benteke was trying to play his way back into form, back into the team, and more importantly, back to earning the fans' love and affection. And this is the thing. I've been a man to criticize Benteke last 2-3 years. I will not pretend otherwise.
You are not the only one.
But when I've looked at it, I've said, you know what? Who's around him to help him? He's had to deal with hobbits like Fraser Campbell for strike partners.
Let's not take it there. We will pop around.
No, but you know what I'm saying. You're like, Benteke is a big brick, you know, the rest house, right?
Yeah.
Who's had to rely on Bilbo Baggins, Gollum, and Frodo in the box. And when you see that Andros Townsend makes one good cross a season, Jeffrey Schlupp is more effective as a centre mid. But when he plays on the left, he can make something happen.
Yeah, he does a job, yeah.
You know, Jordan Ayew flopped on loan, but I think it was good that he flopped on loan because when he joined on a permanent, we had no expectation because we were like, why are we signing him on a permanent? He was rubbish. Then he goes and has the season he had.
Yeah. And that goal against West Ham?
Yeah, sorry, I still... What? No, do you know what really made me laugh was the VAR goal at West Ham away. That was funny. Because I was there thinking, do not chalk this off, VAR. Seriously. Don't do it. Then you see it's given and you're like, my emotions are gone.
Literally.
You know what I mean? My emotions were gone because I was watching it here in Dublin with a Kieran who commented on the last video that we did together.
Yeah.
And the two of us didn't know whether to celebrate or just start cussing abuse at the TV. Because it was like...
That's the thing with VAR. They just take too long.
But
that's a conversation for another day because, let's just say they use it in other leagues a lot better than we do.
Yeah, no, for real. But to answer your question, the transfer business so far, very impressive, but needed. Because we've been crying out for young blood. And we've always said, if we can't blood our academy, look around the lower leagues.
100%.
Or look around us in the Premier League because there's players in and around the Premier League, around our bracket of the league, that aren't getting minutes that could easily improve us. I can't give you a name off the top of my head, but you know what I'm saying. There's players that make it onto, let's say, Newcastle's bench, for example. Saint-Maximin, for example, right? I know he's a key player for Newcastle, but I would have given them Townsend back. I said, listen, you want Townsend? Take him. We're taking Saint-Maximin instead.
Absolutely. This is it. There's shrewd business to be done, and we've done it so far, which is absolutely amazing to see. We've kind of already touched on preseason. Really, we've touched on a few of the games we've played. So let's go straight into previewing the Chelsea game. Now, rumors are that there's going to be no Kante. Lukaku obviously can't play because he's just flown over. Ziyech, I think he took a knock as well during the Super League.
Yeah, and they went to penalties as well, so that's going to take it out of the legs.
Yeah, so that's during the Super Cup. Yeah, extra time and penalties. We've got a good chance, you know. I'm very optimistic.
We've got a good chance, but don't get it twisted, people. We're well aware that Chelsea's reserves, because they've got an abundance of talent that can come and make a B team, C team, D team, E team, all the way to Z. They can still smack us if we're not careful. But because they've played and they've lost a key element of their squad in Kante, the question now is, whoever plays in our midfield has to bully whoever plays in midfield for Chelsea tomorrow. If it's Gyro, yes, he's got a bit of a nasty streak in him. He's not Luka nasty, where he'll make a crunching tackle and put a man in hospital. But Gyro can make them kind of tackles to break the ball apart. For me personally, if I had the option, Mark Gay and Anderson in defence, Kouyaté next to Gyro in midfield, because Kouyaté can make them dirty challenges that you need to make when you're going away to Stamford Bridge. Because previously, when we go to Stamford Bridge, and I think we've lost the last 7 in a row, head-to-head in terms of both home and away against Chelsea, we expect that. They're a great side, no issue with losing to the big teams. what we've not done for a long time is try go for it. Roy's had us sit back, and I understood that. And I'm not saying that it was crazy to not go and try and go for it. It was more sensible to try and protect what we had, or just try and keep the score respectable, because we've seen what happened when we tried to go for it against Liverpool, where we were 2-0 down or 3-0 down at the time. Yeah, and look, I'm all for it, but playing Chelsea now is a double-edged sword. It's dangerous because they're just the newly crowned European champions, so they'll probably still be buzzing off the high of that.
Yeah.
But because they played midweek and played into extra time, a lot of the players that might start could still be a bit leggy. And we'd have played fresh, because we haven't played since we played Watford. But the key, it's obviously going to be key who's first goal. I don't mean to be a Michael Owen quote out here and say whoever scores the first goal is key. But if we can frustrate Chelsea initially for the first 15 to 25, half an hour, and we can slowly build on it from there and try and ask questions of Chelsea, we stand a good chance of getting even so much as a draw, which I would snap your hand off.
Absolutely. I think the midfield, as you said, it's going to be key, especially if it is a case where there's no Kante, because he's like the engine room. And obviously Kovacic and Jorginho kind of focus more so on playing. We don't know if obviously Mason Mount's going to be back as well. Our midfield has looked very... There's been a lot of dynamism in there. I've really liked the midfield three of Gyro, Schlupp, and Maka. And Maka's all of a sudden now getting the credit he deserves. But once again, a topic for another day. I feel if we can get in and around them, as you said, they've been very leggy. They've just obviously had the Super Cup. I think we can, if we can dominate that midfield, we've got a very good chance. We've got a very, very good chance. And
100%.
Defensively, like Alonso ain't the greatest defensively. He's decent going forward. I think they've had Trevor Chalobah playing at centre back. I think if we can get at them, we can absolutely get at them. You know, it'll be a very interesting game. Very interesting.
Rich, the only question I think we have in terms of our starting 11 is who plays on the right.
Yeah.
Now, you could argue we put Schlupp left and Wilf right, which does solve the problem because Wilf is right-footed, Schlupp is left-footed, so it's natural to have natural-sided player on their natural side when they're on their natural foot. But Wilf down the left-hand side, if it's Azpilicueta at right wing-back, Cesar Azpilicueta is not catching Wilf. Reece James will catch Wilf, but Azpilicueta won't catch Wilf. So either we bring in a Rak-Saki, which I'm not really keen on. I want to see the young lad play. By all means, I want to see him play. But my trepidation with playing youngsters in a Premier League game is if he makes a mistake that leads to a goal, you know there's going to be that element of all Premier League fan bases that slaughter a young kid for one mistake that we're not going to get relegated if he gives away a goal. Do you know what I mean? Now, granted, if it's the last game of the season away at home to Man United, yeah, that could be an issue. But I would imagine Vieira will go Schlupp left, Wilf right, or Schlupp right, Wilf left. Ideally, you'd want to have a left-footed player on the left and a right on the right, but we're not managers, so I don't know what Vieira's thinking. He may have already decided the team tonight and decided that we're going to play Rak-Saki, or we could play Scott Banks, or we could play whoever. You know, we might even get a surprise and have Kamani Gordon. We just don't know until we see the bench at 2 o'clock tomorrow before the game kicks off at 3 o'clock.
I think Jordan plays right wing forward. You know,
does he play there for Ghana, or does he play up top?
He played up top for Ghana, but he's been playing right wing forward obviously for us during preseason. I think he starts there tomorrow.
I hear it was a shout actually.
I think it's until we get an actual right winger, because like I said, Jordan's a striker. I think he'll play there.
Yeah. So sorry, let me try that again. If you had to pick a right winger, let's say from the Championship, because there's Antoine Semenyo at Bristol City, or Jed Wallace at our neighbours, Millwall. I know people are saying, we don't want to sign players from Millwall, but listen, at 27, granted, he doesn't fit the profile of young and hungry, but at 27, he's been around the leagues.
Yeah.
He'd come in and do a job in the interim. And if we bring in, let's say Wallace and Semenyo's 21, I think, soon. So there's longevity with an Antoine Semenyo. I know Bristol City and us have a bit of a strange antipathy because obviously the famous Freddie Sears ghost goal, but we got Balassi from Bristol City. So I can forgive them for the Freddie Sears ghost goal because they gave us Yannick, you know.
Yeah.
But unless we blood Raksaki and try him on the right, because I'm fairly certain, is he right-footed or left-footed? I think he's right-footed.
Jez is left-footed, actually, but he plays on the right.
Oh, he's left-footed, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Banksy is right-footed and Banks is right-footed?
Yeah, Banks is right-footed. No,
Yeah.
actually, hold on. He banged that free kick against Reading with his left, actually.
See, this is the thing. It's hard to understand anymore. But, yeah, look, the argument is we could sign a right winger, but the question is, who do we sign and for what price? Because now that text has been announced, people know we've got money.
Money, yeah.
So what we should have done was kept that quiet till after the transfer window.
Yeah.
You see me? Because if people don't realize that we've got money, people can't go, oh, wow, Palace are looking for our player. Let's try and get them for 20 million. But luckily, we're playing smart in this window where we've seen with Armstrong, we're prepared to walk away if we're not prepared to pay the money.
That was
whereas normally we get bent over a barrel.
Yeah.
Because bear in mind, we paid Liverpool 27 million for Benteke, 26 for Sacco, right? And at the time, those were good investments. Yeah. But when you look back on it, you're like, we should have negotiated a lower price because these players were not starter Liverpool players.
Point.
These are their fringe players that we were paying over the odds for.
Yeah, we're doing so much better this time around. We really are. We really are. But I guess there's also the likes of Reece Nelson that's been mentioned on loan. Obviously, Noni, who's just been doing madness for PSV at the moment. They're now in the Champions League. There was actually word of Edouard as a striker. There was word of Will Hughes actually. That's been circulating. How much of it's true?
Yeah, but see, if Will Hughes joins us, that's going to cause a meltdown at Vicarage Road.
Oh, yes, that would.
Because they have this weird idea that him coming to us is a downgrade. I said, a few years ago under Hodgson, I would agree. But did you see what performance you lot put in at our place? I was shocked.
They were horrible.
No word of a lie, Rich. I watched that pre-season friendly and said, I know it's pre-season. I know that.
Yeah.
But if they play like this week in, week out against Aston Villa tomorrow, my Lord have mercy upon my soul. Bear in mind, Villa have signed Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, Buendia. And these men have Craig Cathcart at the back. A lumpy Troy Deeney on the bench.
Yeah. Watford were shocking. They were so bad. And that's why I was...
Oh, Rich, I know you're trying to keep it PG, but we know the real word you wanted to say on Watford. Come on now. We know the real word.
But like, obviously, whilst I was there, and I mentioned this at half time, I dropped a little video just saying, like, we just needed to move the ball quicker because they were offering nothing. They were so bad. And you're right, if they play like that this season, they're finished. They'll be relegated by January.
They're done out here. Bear in mind, we scored that goal for them. That's how crap they are, bruv. Benteke scored for them.
And said, actually, hold on, let me go correct my errors.
Man was like, do you know what? As bad as I feel, and I scored for you lot, I can't let this lie. So I'm gonna go get me a goal.
And a great goal.
And I see the Watford fan tweet me saying, Benteke wouldn't beat Deeney in there. I said, Deeney a few years ago, where he was looking lean and looked like a man that was on his job, yeah. But now that he's lumpy, it looks like he spent half the time in KFC and Burger King, bruv.
On a lot, hasn't he?
And I like Troy Deeney. I really do like Troy Deeney, even though he's an absolute shithouse of a player.
Yeah.
And he had that little comment about, we've worked out that if you stick one on Zaha, we always take turns sticking it on him. It's like, everybody does that. Why are Palace fans jumping up about that? Everybody does that. We do that to other teams' players.
Yeah.
I remember, who was it? Delaney. Damo broke up Eden Hazard when we lost 1-0 at Stamford Bridge when they won the league. He put him on the floor in hospital.
Yeah.
And people were like, we don't do that. I said, are you sure about that? I've seen us do it plenty of times to other teams. I said, the problem with Wilf is he got wound up by a mascot. And then the same mascot that wound him up was crying, saying, I'm in fear of my life. then here's an idea. Don't antagonize a Premier League footballer where the fan base of that club don't like your club that you work for.
This is it. Just go do your job and shut up. That simple.
Listen, go bang your drum as much as it looks to make you look like a questionable person with questionable content. Because, mate, I was there when he got abuse off the Palace fans. I was at Watford away in Boxing Day. I remember telling you.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, they pay this man to bang the drum. Bruv, my man is paid to bang the drum. I know the HF bang a drum at away games and at home games, but at least those boys, they're not taking a wage to do it.
This is it.
Yeah. But when you look at the fact that, you know, we've got investment coming in, he's come in to forward the stadium plans. This tells me, Sainsbury's, you're done out here. You're done. You're finished. Because he will more than likely say to Parish, listen, if they name their price, we're going to pay it. We're going to get this main stand rebuilt because it's dragged on too long.
Right. You know what? I've just had to check this based on this. So, Fabrizio's come out and said Ahmad's expected to go on loan, and it's between us at the moment and FC Basel. We've asked to have him on loan. Honestly, I'll take him immediately.
You know what? That would actually be a good bit of business because we're under no risk of it being a dud signing because he's not our player.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're spending 25 million and he's looking like he's a flop and he's a 25 million pound flop, this and that.
Yeah.
At a club like Palace, because remember Fosu Mensah came to Palace and unfortunately got injured and that led to the rise of AWB.
Yeah.
But I always thinking, Fosu Mensah is a decent player. Why are people slating him because AWB came about? We're lucky that we had AWB to cover when we lost Joe Ward and Fosu Mensah. But Diallo, that'd be a good shout.
It'll be a great shout. Hopefully we can get this over the line because you know what? United would want him to stay and get Premiership experience. So the fact that we're in for him, he's going to be playing week in, week out in the Premier League, would only bode well. I mean, obviously, there's going to be other clubs around the world. It actually says here Bundesliga and other Premier League clubs. But so hopefully, Patrick can go and have his little say. That would be an absolute fantastic loan sign if we can get that over the line. But you know what? Before we finish up, score prediction for tomorrow.
Okay. Right, you put me on the spot here. Right, I'll give you two score predictions. One is realistic, which isn't quite pessimistic because I'm never really pessimistic, but I'm always real. Yeah. And one is hopeful. Realistic, 2-1, 3-1 Chelsea. I think we will score because, as I said, they're a bit leggy, so you know there's a chance to score. Oh, Ian Wright's at the game, by the way. Shout out Wrighty, but no, I'd say 2-1, 3-1 Chelsea. To be realistic, optimistic. 2-1 Palace. I mean, it's not impossible. We've done it before where, granted, it's the first day of the season. Chelsea are reigning European champions. They're going to be hella gassed to have fans back in the stadium. But the last time we've played Chelsea on a big occasion where they're newly crowned champions and the whole 9 yards of it, we ended up actually having a fairly good game. But I want to say we could win, but I would gladly take a draw. But obviously, best case scenario would be a win. But I'm not really expecting much from tomorrow. But I just hope that Vieira gets a good account of his first game.
Yeah, that's all I'd got. So finish up.
No. You go ahead. You're okay.
No, I was just saying. That's all I want from him. As long as we just go and show ourselves as the club that we can actually be, I'll be so happy with that. I think we'll get a 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think we'll get a 2-2 draw.
Nice judgment.
I just feel like we're a lot more comfortable on the ball. If this was under Roy, I'd be worried because we
listen. If it's under Roy, it's even worse than last season. But last season, how do we give away 2 penalties in the same game? I was actually thinking, do we actually practice defending? And the annoying thing was I couldn't even blame Van Aanholt. My go-to excuse when we had brain dead defending was, oh, it's Patrick Van Aanholt. But it was Mitchell, it was Tarek playing left back that day. So I'm like, I can't even blame Van Aanholt. This is horrible. My excuse is gone.
Yeah.
But no, look, under Roy, you're right. I'd be majorly worried.
Yeah. But just watching how we play, we're progressing the ball really, really well up the field and quick as well. And I'm actually very optimistic. I'm going to too. And
there's a little thing that we haven't spoken about. We're not panicking in possession.
Good point. We are so
last season. We were deathly afraid of linking 3, 4, 5, 6 passes together. And listen, I understand Roy Hodgson would never set us up to be a possession team, so it wasn't a shock. But we'd get to the key areas of the final third where Schlupp could have a shot, Zaha could have a shot, Batshuayi, Ayew, you name the player, they could have a shot. We weren't seeing them take that initiative because they were thinking, fuck, if I have a shot and all of a sudden we drop off and then we get countered and we're smacking one in our own net, you're like,
Yeah.
Whereas now, Vieira's football isn't what some people thought it would be, because a lot of people mistakenly thought, oh, Vieira's going to come in and we're going to play sexy football. No. He's going to change things that we wanted changed, but there's no sense in changing everything and leaving what was already there, because you can see we've been set up very well defensively. We're coached brilliantly in terms of defense. It's our offense going forward that we need to be reminded that when we get the ball to Zaha, to Eze, to Elise, to Rak-Saki, to Banks, to MacArthur, to Riedewald, players that are comfortable playing the ball. If we have Riedewald 10 yards up the pitch, and he's able to spray a ball to Michael Elise on the right, Elise whips one in, there's Benteke, whip, bang, Bosch, in. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
100%.
As opposed to we get Andros Townsend on the halfway line, turning round and passing it back to Joel Ward, back to Guaita, and it's sent all the way over to Zaha on the left. And we're like, was there an attack? Like, were we buffering at the halfway line or something? Because it was like some old school dodgy streams of football.
I guess we were buffering like his hairline at the time, but
hey, don't try about people's hairlines to me, mate. I mean, come on.
Listen, guys, this has been a blast. That was our Palace season preview. Tomorrow night, about this time, 9 o'clock, we're having our match reaction. Once again, opportunity to call in if you want to. But yeah, look forward to the game tomorrow. And yeah, Premier League's back. It's back. It's back with a bang. Arsenal's just lost. And I tell you
before we go, Rich, if any of you want to send in your views on the game, video yourself on WhatsApp. Rich will leave a number for you to send it to, and he'll upload them onto the channel, so you get to see what you get to see what everybody else wants to say. Rich will be giving his thoughts on the game, but he's got other commitments this weekend, so he probably won't get them as quickly as possible. I'm going to try and do a video myself. Listen, this season is finally here. Arsenal are banter FC once again, which is a lovely feeling. Yeah, one thing left to say. Come on, you Palace.
Come on, you Palace. Thanks for coming on again, Nath. Absolute pleasure to have you as always, man. Absolute pleasure. But guys, listen,
dig up your damn self.
Like, share, subscribe to Eagle-Eyed Football. Hamza, I see you in the back, but I've got another stream to jump on, mate. Yeah, spread the word. And guys, match reaction tomorrow. Come on, have your say, or drop your send me a WhatsApp, whatever it may be. Big up to all of you.